Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the studio. It's nicely cleaned up, thanks to my loving wife, Julia. And as a matter of fact, in the cleaning process, we came across a couple portfolios that had tons of artwork stored in it that I had forgotten about. I mean, stuff going all the way back to 1983. In fact, I've got like my second published work I found the artwork for in these portfolios, and I thought it'd be fun to kind of go through it and see what's in there. I did a little peeking today because there was I found a few things that I definitely wanted to show, and we'll go through that together, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. So first off, let me just show you what this beast looks like. It's big and it's heavy. Look at that sucker. That portfolio, it goes back to 1981. It is it's the portfolio that I was given when I went to the Joe Kubert School. I think the tape that's over the front was blocking the Kubert logos, because I'd go out for jobs years later, and I used to take that portfolio. I had to block it out. But anyway, that thing is from 1981. It still holds up. I remember I'd gone home to Florida on a spring break or something, a school break, and I had homework assignments and stuff, and I had to take that with me. And then on my way back, I took the train back into Dover, New Jersey, and my house, the house where I was renting a room, was all the way up this hill. It was probably a mile and a half up this hill, and I can't remember the name of the road, but it's actually the same road that Joe Kubert lives on. And I had to carry that big old portfolio up that hill the whole time. I swear my forearms were just killing me because I was holding on, just it was so full of crap. So that portfolio has been with me for a long time, and it's been through a lot. It's been through reviews at Marvel and DC, and it's served me well all these years. But for some reason, it was like stuck way in the back of the basement, and I had taken it out one time, and I stored it actually right behind me. You can see where, yeah, right back there, right where that printer is. They were stuck behind the wall there. And so when Julie was cleaning it, we pulled it out, and I'm like, oh, well, let's see what's in here. And I came across some really great stuff. So anyway, let's just say hello to the chat here real quick. Past Master Dan is here. James Murphy, Citizen Ronan, Marcus Killebrew says hail Graham in the chat. Pale Rider with a Y. Dranks. JP wants to know what's good. Your average Patriot nerd says hail. HR is here. Germany Wozni. Hello Graham. Hail CG. Pale Rider says, geez, that is a stuffed portfolio. They almost shouldn't make them that big, because if you can fill it with that much stuff, it just becomes unwieldy heavy. I can't even show you everything that's in there. It's just impossible to hold it up. But I'm going to pull out junk, and we'll be surprised together. Man of War 665, Neighbor of the Beast, is here. Hello. He says, hail amigos. Dr. Mask's Retro Elixir is here. Hello. Leg Kick 1. Don Perkage. What about? Hail Nolan. Ahoy, one and all. All right. Excellent. So we got a nice little crowd in here, and it'll probably bounce up. People like to come into these things late, it seems like. But anyway, so let's start off with this piece here. All right. This is from New Talent Showcase number 16, and it looks like it appeared in April of '85. Okay, but here's the thing. This piece was, or this story was done as a classroom project in 1983 when I was at the Kubert School, because my teacher Sal Amendola was my um, sequential art teacher, and he was also the editor of New Talent Showcase at DC Comics. So he bought two of my classroom assignments for the book. The first one was called The Fan, and I don't have that original art. They were both sold at the same time, and so DC stamps it in the back, so you can see copyright 1983. So that makes next year my 40th year as a professional. I didn't realize it was that long. I was thinking 84, 85, something like that, but no, I sold this in '83. So, and I sold the fan in '83 too. So that makes this the oldest one that I still have. Let's move this out of the way. I was trying poorly to do my best Wally Wood, with all the machinery and stuff in the background. But look at that spaceship. It's just horrible. I have never been good at designing stuff like that, spacecraft and junk, without referencing the hell out of it. Some guys can draw that stuff out of their head. I cannot, and it shows. It's terrible. So let's see, how many more pages is there? There's like three more pages. None of them really good. This panel here is actually inked by Sal Amendola. He didn't like my original panel, and this is an actual paste up. This whole figure here has been cut out and pasted up on here. So that's kind of neat. This is all these pages are all warped, and I don't know if you can see that dark thing up in that first panel. It's like a mildew stain on it. And then here's the final one, the final page. Again, really crappy looking spaceship. But yeah, so there you go. That's the oldest piece in the portfolio. Now, after that, I started working at Eclipse. And my time at Eclipse Comics was a lot of fun because in the 1980s, there was a lot of new publishers coming up. It was really like a second golden age because there was a lot of opportunities for young artists to get work. And I found a home at Eclipse Comics, and they were doing all kinds of genre stuff: horror, adventure, some superhero stuff, science fiction. They did everything, and it was a really fun time to experiment. And to be honest, when I left Eclipse Comics to go to work at, I believe my next job was at Marvel, was a Transformers comic, and then on to DC. That I sort of almost went backwards a little bit because I was much more experimental with the work when I was at Eclipse, because I just didn't feel like the competition was different. It's like I wasn't competing against John Buscema or somebody like that. So I could experiment a little bit more, and it was very freeing. And I think the work is more sure of itself, because I was a little bit more confident, and then I kind of lost my confidence a little bit. So anyway, this is a story from Alien Encounters. I don't know what issue it was, but it's marked 1987. And this one I remember drawing, and I really liked this. This was a lot of fun. I really liked that big splash panel right there. This is sort of a goofy sci-fi story about these alien slugs that come down to Earth. I don't really remember the story. I haven't read it. Yeah. I think they're trying to they're urging. Let's see, we're urging you to make peace. Look at this, Dr. Ruth. It's a sign of the times, huh? Dr. Ruth is in there. There's oh, there's a piece of zipatone that's attached itself there. I don't know what that's from. Must have picked it up in the portfolio. This is a nice panel right here. I like this one. Yeah, this had something to do with ABBA too. It's the music of ABBA. They like the aliens liked ABBA or something. But I like that this panel here too. I like the shadows. You know. So that bad boy is from 1987. Oh, here's another one from. I think this was Tales of Terror. I think it was called. It was just a single one-page story, but it was fun. You know, got to draw jungle stuff and some horror stuff, and I think it came out pretty good, considering I was, what, 23 years old, something like that. Oh, 87? Let's see. I've been 25, I guess. And I don't remember what book this was from. Again, this is another Eclipse book. And at the time, I was really studying Kirby's use of blacks. So there's like very little gray tones or cross hatching. It's all solid blacks. Yeah, at this period. Not very successful, but there's some good stuff in here too. Yeah. Crazy. I don't even remember. I got the pages. I should just read them. We got to get to some of this really, really old and cool stuff here. This is an interesting piece. These are a bunch of samples that I used to carry around in the portfolio and take with me up to Marvel and DC. I tried to do samples if I want to work at Marvel with a Marvel character, and samples with DC characters. But I wrote this little Spider-Man story, and I never completed it. I have the layouts for the last. I think there was 2 more pages to this little thing, and I think I was inspired by a scene in Manhunter, the Archie Goodwin and Walt Simonson short pieces that they would do in those 100-page detective comics. And I think when I reviewed it and stuff, that's where the initial inspiration came. But I'll just show you and tell you this little story. It's really cute. So this is to showcase my storytelling. You know, there's no words or anything. It's a wordless story. So you get a little boy, you know, and he's pretending he's a cowboy. You know, again, this is 1983, I think, 1982, 1983 when I did this. So there were still little boys playing cowboys. You know, it doesn't really hold up today because you know they're not dressing like that. So he goes up to the roof and he comes upon Spider-Man and Doc Ock fighting, and that's a cool panel, very Ramita-esque, I think. Um, so the little boy, you know, we see him smiling when he sees Spidey, and then you know he sees Ock, and you know he's scared, and um, so he's got a little cap gun, and he's shooting it at them, you know, pretending he's you know the sheriff or something, and it distracts Spider-Man when he hears the pop pop pop. So he turns, and then Doc Ock waylays him, you know, smacks him. So then Doc reaches over and grabs that chimney and tears it up, and he's about to throw it. You know, he's lifting it over his head. Um, I like the angle on this panel too. Some of the figure work here is not very good, but it's a good camera angle. So the little boy is looking, and he's you know looking at his hero and stuff. So he takes his little cap gun and he tosses it, and it bops Doctor Octopus in the head. Um, and that was the end of the finished pencils. The layouts, just so I won't leave you hanging, was that Spidey saves the day and knocks him out, and the little boy, you know, he turns around and runs before that happens, and he's hiding under his covers, you know, because he's afraid that Doctor Octopus is going to come after him or something like that. And then he hears a tapping on his window, and the little boy comes out from under the covers and looks at the window, and hanging there from a spider's web is his little cap gun, and he's got the smile as he looks out, and he sees Spidey swinging away and waving to him. So just a cute little scene, you know, just to illustrate, you know, visual storytelling without adding any captions necessary to it. Let me just pause here a quick second to thank Eric the Guapo for that $5 super chat. Thanks, brother. Much appreciated. Okay, so here is another and I only have 2 pages of this. This was some Conan samples I had done. And again, this goes back to, I think this is 1984. And you know, it's a silent sequence basically. You know, Conan is in this tavern, and people are betting and watching, and he's you know arm wrestling with some dude, and the dude's you can see his hand here is on the hilt of his knife. You know, you know he's straining, and Conan's looking and smiling. You know, he's like, you know, he takes a swig of his wine or whatever, wipes his mouth, and then you know just kind of tosses him. And there's sort of like a multi-image thing of the guy rolling away here. You can see where he's, you know, I don't remember if I laid out more like I had done with the other with the Spider-Man story or not, but that's all I had of that. But oh, got another super chat here. Tarks9, thank you for the $5 super chat. Nolan, he says, that's the name. Don't wear it out. Thank you, sir. Now, this is an interesting one because if you've listened to the show for the professionals or anything like that, I told the story before about how I was ushered into Julie Schwartz's office by Sal Amendola, who had said to Julie that, oh, you know, I want you to meet a student of mine, Graham Nolan. He draws a really good Superman. And this was the story I had and had shown Sal, and he took me into Julie Schwartz's office. and who was unimpressed. When I look at it, and this is really funny because this is so dated, this sequence. This one does have dialogue, and I have the dialogue penciled in too. Uh, you can see there. Superman's returning from, something he had to do in space, and he's about to come back to his apartment, 344 Clinton Street, as it was back then, and he sees a robbery in progress. So uh, he's kind of going to swoop down on these guys. Um, oh shit! This is funny. I guess this is a red kryptonite story that I done because Superman is swooping down and he's getting that old familiar red kryptonite tingle, and all of a sudden he has this incredible urge to break dance. So here he is doing his breakdancing, and he can't, break out of the urge because of the red kryptonite. So he uses the breakdance to. He's doing these backflips. Look at him here doing the thing on the sidewalk, and then he's going up on two hands here, and then he comes back down, and slams his foot on his super foot on the floor, and it sends like this massive, quake vibration that knocks those guys on their asses. So he's able to defeat the bad guys with his breakdancing, mad breakdancing skills. But then we go back, now he's in Clark Kent and he's doing his thing, and he's going to he gets invited to the beach or something. I don't remember what was going on with this thing. I didn't even remember the red kryptonite part of it until I was reading it to you guys, and then I was like, oh shoot, we got to look at this. The breakdancing, that's a riot. Not great stuff. These are very weak. The pencils are weak. They're very unsure. Storytelling is pretty good. There's a lot of changes I'd make now, but not too bad for a kid. Okay, so the next up that I came across was these Doc Savage samples that I had done. The interesting thing about this is that I had actually contacted Condé Nast because I wanted to get the license for Doc Savage, and I was going to publish my own Doc Savage comics. And this is all the way back in 1985. And so I called them and I talked to their lawyers, and they said that they were in conversations with DC Comics, who was interested in doing a Doc Savage thing, and that they were going to go to contract with them. Obviously, they had a track record of publishing comics that I did not, and they probably had more money to spend. So anyway, DC was going to do a Doc Savage thing, and they said, well, I suggest you go talk to them about it. So I did. So at that time, Mike Carlin had just gone over to DC. He had just gotten there. I think he was working as Andy Helfer's assistant at that point. He had just come over from Marvel, and hadn't established himself quite yet in the Superman camp. And anyway, I had shown these things to him, and I'll tell you his response. Yeah, so Doc is that woman got kidnapped, and Doc's in his roadster and he runs them off the road. They don't know who he is or what's going on. And I thought this was kind of interesting. I could have punched up the drama a little bit better here, but anyway, he gets out of the car and he starts shedding his overcoat and his little cap and all that kind of stuff. And the three panels, I like the juxtaposition here of what's happening here and then here, you know, and here. So anyway, the girl is, kind of like, what's going on? And then she realizes, and you can see the difference in their faces and her faces kind of switch place. I thought that was interesting. And I kind of like this panel here where Doc is unclothed or he shed off his, not disguise, but the clothes he was wearing. So now it's clear that it's Doc Savage. It's probably a bad idea to do it from a back view here. It would have been more effective to pick another angle, but it's the angle I picked. And then there was a reveal, and I never went any further than that. So, but anyway, Carlin didn't like them. He didn't like these samples, and they are weak. The cars look. There's not a lot of weight to anything. As Joe Kubert used to say, it was a hell of an attempt. Hell of an attempt, but didn't quite make it. This was a Hulk piece I had done. I love the Toadman, and I love the Hulk. Those first 6 issues of the Hulk are some of my all-time favorite Marvel comics. And so I wanted to do a Hulk fighting the Toadman. And that's what I did. That's what this is. This is from 1986. So that goes back a while too. I did some Hulk samples probably in the early 2000s that are really good. And I've shown them on other things, I think. I don't have them in this portfolio. I'm not exactly sure where they are, but if we come across them tonight, we'll pull them out and show them to you. I don't know what this was for, other than maybe it was an experiment for me. But I was experimenting with sort of like a linear approach, like a Mobius kind of linear approach to things. And it was a Tarzan piece that I was working on that I never finished. For some reason I decided to give Tarzan a hairy chest and hairy forearms, But yeah. Boy, they don't make paper like this anymore. What is this? Is this Marvel's paper? Not sure. They don't have their logo on it, but look at the size of it. This is like their old cover stock. It's gigantic. Okay, now this is really cool because I didn't know I had any of these. This is Airboy 25. Yeah. Why is all the green going on? I don't have a green screen up. Let me see if let me just check the settings here. Virtual background. No. That's why. Turn that off. Okay. No, that's worse. I don't know what happened there. Why that's back there. Okay, let me just go back and fix that again. So background, green screen. Okay. We'll have to deal with anything green disappearing here. But anyway, let's get back to it. What makes Airboy number 25 so interesting? Because that is the first time that Chuck and I teamed up on any project. It was this story right here. It is a Sky Wolf story. No Rest for the Wicked by Charles Dixon and Graham Nolan and Mark Nelson, the great Mark Nelson, one of his early ink jobs. And where is that page? Let's see, this page 4. Yeah, there it is. Page 4. What makes that cool is that there it is. I found a bunch of these pages, a bunch of Sky Wolf pages, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 pages from our first team up together, which is really, really cool. I've got more of these Sky Wolf pages from other stories that I want to show you because you can see right from the beginning how Chuck and I meshed, and we had so much fun. I had so much fun, certainly, kind of pushing the envelope and going over the top on some of the storytelling choices here. It was a great combination of fun, action, adventure, and humor. So, you know, I got to make choices where I could really have the characters emote, you know, somewhat over the top. There we go. Ba-boom! But that was a lot of fun working on these different series for Eclipse Comics at that time because, as I said, it was very experimental. It wasn't superhero stuff, although I wanted to do superhero stuff at that time. But I also love, you know, straight up adventure stuff. And so I learned a lot by doing that, you know, doing that kind of stuff. Let's see what we got here. Let's see if I can find some good examples of that kind of crazy stuff. This was a fun one too. This is another one, but this one was inked by Willie Blyberg, a really overlooked inker. Very slick, very nice. Oh, here we go. Here's an example of look at Sky Wolf's face in that panel. Holy hell! That was his like tagline that he always used to say. Holy hell! Yeah, this is fun. Now we got some action stuff here. That's fun stuff to draw. That kind of action stuff. Great lettering too. I think this is Tim Harkins back when he used to letter everything right on the board. You know, it's just beautiful, beautiful stuff. Nice triptych of storytelling here. Little zipatone shadow. If I was doing that now, I would just do a layer and throw that shadow, a gray tone right over him. But there's something really cool about, you know, the zipatone. And speaking of zipatone, here's a white zipatone which they used to use to knock, you know, like characters back, you know, to give it depth or to, like in this case, make it a ghostly image so that it's not as dark as the black. That stuff was pretty cool. Oh yeah, This one was fun. What's this guy's name? Beautiful somebody. He was like a wrestler, and he's supposed to be like a, you know, nature boy or something like that. I can't remember. And that's who Sky was fighting in that other page. There's a fun fight sequence here. Oh, here we go. I think this is it. Yeah, this is a fun action sequence. You know, the guy goes to bear hug him, and Sky ducks under him, trips him up, and you know, just over the top. I was experimenting with geometric shapes too, uh, to try and draw the eye towards a focal point. And I still do that to this day. You know, there's no reason for those black lines to be flying around him, or even in that lower one, that shadow that's kind of like zigzags over. But I like to use that to direct the eye sometimes. It's kind of cool. This page, this is the splash page. And this was fun. I got to design a cereal box. Sugar bullets. And you know, the design, all the fun stuff that went along with it. And up here, up top here, are in pencil are my notes to Kat Ironwood, who was the editor at the time. And I wrote, Kat, this is a packaged product, so have the colorist color accordingly. If possible, an airbrush burst of color behind the Sky Wolf and cereal art to add depth would look great. And then in parentheses, I wrote, those years in advertising and package design are paying off. Who inked this? Oh, Mark Nelson inked this. Cool. Jolly Farmer. Yeah, fun. This is a nice splash. It's a Willie Blyberg inked that one. Can't believe I had all this artwork and didn't even know it. I really look fondly on this stuff. I found a lot of stuff I don't give a shit about either. That I found in there, you know, like not my finest hour, but these have a lot of great memories too. And this here is kind of cool because it's this was for I believe it's Bo LeDuc backup story. So it would have been written by Bo Smith. It was penciled by Flint Henry and inked by me. And you know, this is when Tim Truman and Chuck Dixon had a packaging company called Four Winds, and I was part of that. Harkins was part of that. Flint was part of that. Gary Quapitz was part of that. Tom Lyle was part of that. All of us kind of came up at Eclipse Comics at that time, and we all became really good friends. And so in this one here, oh yeah, I think that's Baron. There's Chuck. That's Chuck right there. That guy, that's Tim Truman, or a facsimile thereof. And on the this little flyer here, I don't know if you guys can read that. Best wishes, Chuck. Your pal Ron. It's a Ronald Reagan thing. I thought Bo was in here too. I'm pretty sure Bo wrote this. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is Mike Barron right here. This is fun stuff. This is, you know, just over the top comics, you know? No heavy shit, you know? Just fun. All right. What's next? What's next in the magic portfolio of goodies that are down here? Ah, okay. Here's a couple interesting things. Uh, this was another piece I did of Doc Savage from 1986 as a kind of a sample piece. This one actually came out pretty good. I like that. And I like the Art Deco design on it. Um, Doc doesn't quite look as tall as he needs to, his proportions, but I like the way these guys are inked back here. You know, my renditions of his Amazing Five. So that one was pretty good. Let's save this one here. Okay. Now this one is beat to hell. It's really water damaged. It's got mold all over it. But this is my first job at Marvel. This was a Transformers story for number 16. This is supposed to be just an inventory story. It was given to me by Mike Carlin to do. And I was dating my future wife at that time, Julie. And this is us right here in this panel. Unfortunately, it got pretty messed up. But yeah, that's me and her. So I'm glad I found this page, even though it's pretty bad, pretty beat up. Tom Morgan inked this, and he did a great job. Yeah, really had that really cool Marvel feel to it, I thought. And here's the other thing. This is 1985 when I did this, and it was supposed to be an inventory story, and then it actually got slated very shortly thereafter and ran and was printed. And you know, Julie and I ended up getting married, and you know, we didn't have time for a honeymoon, and so we were just setting up shop, setting up house. And I worked at an ad agency during the day, and you know, I would you know, pound the beat at night, you know, trying to get freelance work. But setting up the apartment and everything took just about all the cash that I had, you know, and even when I worked at the ad agency, it was still freelance. So you have to pay your own taxes. And at that point, I wasn't taking tax money out. So at the end of the year, April 15th rolls along and I get this tax bill. And this is 1985. And, you know, I'm not making any money. And the tax bill was like $4,000 and change of $1985. It was a good chunk of change. I was living in New Jersey at the time too, so you know they were getting their chunk too. And we were fretting. We're just getting our lives started together, and we got this big, huge debt, and we don't even know how to get out of it. And what shows up? A royalty check for $5,000 for that Transformers story. I only did the one. But I can only imagine what Herb Trimpe was making because he was the regular artist on it, and you know that book was paying those kind of royalties every single month. So the Transformers, you know, really saved my bacon. So I have a sweet spot for them. Came across this page from Power of the Atom, number 9. This is the first time I drew Batman professionally. And Green Lantern, for that matter. I made Ray Palmer over here tall. I don't know. I don't know what his stated height is, but I thought it would be really cool if the Atom, when he's not the Atom, is actually a really tall guy, maybe 6'3", something like that. But yeah, so that's the first time I drew Batman. And while we're on the subject of Batman, when I was pounding the pavement and seeking Batman assignments from Archie Goodwin and Denny O'Neil, this was one of the pieces that I had in my portfolio. This is not the original. This is the original colored version. It was a Xerox that I used. Looks like Martin Dies on it. Dr. Martin dyes to color it up and punch it up a little bit. But I had the black and white with me. I don't know where that is. I think it's in that flat folder, flat folder somewhere. But yeah, so this was one of the things that Danny and Archie saw, and they thought, hey, what, this guy maybe could do a good Batman. Now, one of my first regular gig as a professional was working on the Prowler, and that was a lot of fun. This is, oh shoot, the tape came off. But anyway, this is the overlay. If you work in Photoshop and you understand layers, this is the old style layer. This plate, this would be a plate that would have been shot separately from the camera. Those are registration marks, those little crosses in the circles over here, over there, to line it up. But anyway, we used to have to do that manually back then if you wanted something knocked back and in a different color. But there's the piece. I really enjoyed working on this series. This is from later on in the series, as is this page here. Reason I know is because when I first started these were like golden age stories. The stories were supposed to take place in the golden age, and so I actually did them golden age size, which is twice up. We work at about 65% now, and have since like 1968. Let me see. Yeah, what are those? Oh, here they are. This is actually the first page of, look at the size of it. To put it in perspective, that's how much bigger it is on the sides and how much deeper it is on the bottom. It was kind of cool working this big because when you shrink it down, any mistakes you've got going on become that much smaller. The problem with it, though, working this big, was that back in the day, and even today, you don't have scanners or a Xerox machine big enough to photocopy this, so you had to do it in pieces. So that was a pain. And it's a lot more real estate to draw on. So, there's that too. But this here is the first page of the first Prowler story, which appeared in Prowler number 2. Prowler number 1 was done by Tim Truman and J.K. Snyder, the third. And it was about the Prowler as an old man and his protege that was going to be taking over. And then by issue 2, the book was split in half. You'd have your modern day old Prowler and the new kid. And then we would tell the stories of the Prowler back in the 40s when he was a young man. And so I would handle these with Michael H. Price writing the dialogue. And but this is the first appearance of the Prowler right here, page 1. Had no idea I had this. I was playing a lot with black placement at that time. You can see there's very little gray tones, cross-hatching, that kind of stuff. It's all flat out, hard black line. But I think it's effective in a lot of the cases, And then we even did a like a comic strip version. I really like that last panel there, sort of shadow-esque, if you will, which is pretty much my inspiration for drawing this guy. You know, the slouch hat and the overcoat and everything like that, and always had to, you know, I would always throw shadows against the wall and stuff with him, just because I like that stuff. I think this is all from that first story. There's some nice acting in here. This this panel right here, how his leg is crossed, smoking a cigarette, and then, you know, his reaction here is like, "What?" I like that kind of stuff. That's another one where I like this panel. I like that right there. You know, I don't know if I did it on purpose or subconsciously, but you can see I used the rule of thirds there, which really does focus you in on the characters. Again, some nice black placement up here. These pages are giant. I remember getting a call from the editor, Kat Ironwood, one time, because I tried to. I tried to. Now, again, this is pre-internet, so like I had to dig up all kinds of reference movie books on that covered movies from the 1940s, all that kind of stuff, just so I could see background pieces, furniture, couches, lamps, decorations, that kind of stuff. And you know, like this has like an Art Deco type of table, but at one point I drew a chair or something with coasters on it, you know, like wheel coasters, and Kat, who was like a real buff of that kind of stuff, called me up to tell me that the coasters didn't exist. Those coasters didn't exist in the 1940s. I don't think any reader knew it. Yeah, they're too busy looking at this guy shooting his 45 and fighting zombies. Who gives a shit about the coasters? What was cool about this story too is it tied is right there in the hold on, let me put this down. Right there. That's Murder Legendre. Murder Legendre was a Bela Lugosi character from a Halpin Brothers film called White Zombie. It's the first actual zombie movie. You know, it dealt with Haitian zombies, you know, the traditional sense of zombies, not the Romero style. But anyway, that movie's in public domain. So Michael Price actually used the character of Murder Legendre in the storyline, and those are the Haitian zombies, and a lot of the. I think I even drew the castle from that movie in there, and you know, by now you know I really like horror movies, especially old time monster movies like that. So that was a lot of fun. That was just, it was really great. Those days, you know, there's no micromanaging. You know, we were packaging these comics for Eclipse and getting to do the kind of stuff we wanted to do, tell the stories we wanted to tell without them, you know, hovering over our shoulders and micromanaging us. So those are good times. I really have great fond memories of those early days working at Eclipse. I made lifelong friends there, like Bo Smith and Chuck Dixon, of course. You know, you can't put a dollar value on that. This is more of the same. More. Gosh, I remember drawing these pages too. Looking to see if there's anything different here that I can talk about. Funny how the memories come back just looking at these things. This guy. Zombie. That was the Prowler's best friend. He realizes this is his boyhood chum Julius, and he has to put a 45 into his skull. I like that. That's a cool sequence down at the bottom there. But I was talking about my influence from Kirby at that time, and you can see that in the black placement, in the styling of some of the textures and stuff that I was trying to work with. Wasn't trying to copy Kirby, but I was trying to figure out the way he was doing that kind of stuff, and it ended up being something completely different. But it was a cool process. Yeah, this is again pure black, no very little cross hatching, a lot of chiaroscuro, black and white. Here's a technique you don't see very often, that I learned from strip cartoonists. You take Xeroxes and you Xerox and Xerox and Xerox so that you drop out a lot of the gray tones, and it makes it, just a high contrast type stuff. And then you paste it down, and then when they photograph it, you got all that cool detail and stuff. And you go in with white out and pull out things or draw things in that you need to draw. Just a time-saving thing that guys like Stan Drake used to use, and Wally Wood too. A lot of those guys. You got deadlines. You got to get this stuff out. All right, that's cool. So we get that. Let's see what else is in the magic portfolio here. Oh, wow. Hawkworld stuff. Hold on a second. Let's see what's in here. This is still in the package that DC sent me the art return in. Let's see what this is. 1989 POTA. Oh, Power of the Atom. Oh wow, there was 3 covers that were in here. I think I separated those out. I don't think the covers are in here. So these were the last 2 issues of the Atom. It ended with number 18. Here's an Atom page. I think that's Keith Wilson doing the inks on this. Still, I don't think this stuff was as good as the stuff I did at Eclipse. I was trying to conform, I think, to what I thought DC was looking for. John Byrne was the shit at the time, and he was actually did a issue of Power of the Atom before me. I'm wondering if I'm trying to emulate in some way what I thought that Marvel and DC Comics should look like based upon the kind of stuff they were publishing at the time. The panel at the bottom is pretty good with the guy holding the phone. Roger wrote some fun scripts. You know, he's a lover of comics and action and stuff like that. So it was fun illustrating his stuff. I would handle so much of this stuff so completely different now. But, you know, that's part of the process. It's part of the growing process. Little prelude to my Batman days coming up. Ray Palmer in there as a Batman's. One of the things, I don't know if you guys, any of you read my Sunshine State strip, which is on Go Comics, and then I usually post them on my Facebook wall too. But it's about a little alligator named Melbourne T. Gator, and but I've been drawing Mel since the early 1980s, and even before I fully developed the strip. And you can see there's a little magnet on that refrigerator. It says "Call Julia," out of milk, and that little magnet is my Mel alligator. And speaking of my pal, there's Big Bo. Hey man, just rekindling some old stuff, going through all these goodies that from back in our Eclipse days, pal. How do they split between pencil and inker? Who gets what original art? It's a 2/3, 1/3 split. The penciler gets 2/3, the inker gets 1/3, and they typically, you know, like if you're a regular team on the book, so let's say issue 1, you get the first third, or first 2/3, and he gets the last third. Then issue 2, he gets the first third, and you get the last 2/3. That's usually how they used to do it. Some guys, if they're regular teams that have been around and continue to work together, they'll get their own split where they'll get the penciler will get 3 full issues, and then the 4th issue goes to the inker, the complete issue. Sometimes they do stuff like that, but typically that's how the companies break it up: 2/3, 1/3. Shades of your Joe Frankenstein book, looking at those zombie pages. Good stuff. So let me just, Nicholas wants to know if I have any plans on doing a superhero book. I don't. I don't have any plans right now to do any superhero stuff. There's enough of those around. I sort of want to focus on genres that I love that aren't superhero. If I come up with an idea that works organically into my universe type thing, then I might approach something like that. But no, not really too interested in doing a superhero book at this point. Too much competition. I'm not going to compete. I mean, Marvel and DC own all the cool ones, or they used to be cool until they ruined them. All right, let's see. So that's the main big portfolio. There's a lot of repeat stuff, you know, like tons of Prowler pages in there. There's a bunch of Hawkworld pages too. So I'm going to pull out the next portfolio. This one. And let's see what's in here, shall we? My fellow bro, Art T. Bear, is here. He says, that is one clean-ass studio. Well, you can thank Julie for that. She busted her hump getting this. You should see the other direction where I've got all my inventory and books all stacked up. She stacked them up great. Okay, let's see what we got here. It's a ton. Ah, okay. Here we go. This is kind of cool. How many pages is this? Oh, this was a 10-page Batman story that I wrote as a sample. It's not dated, but I'm gonna say this was 1982, possibly 83, but I think it was 82. I love this page. I should ink this today, I mean, as in now, and really punch it up. But I loved how Marshall Rogers and Don Newton used to do like these little headers, in front of the logos where you'd have Batman standing, and that wasn't really part of the story, but just a really cool design element. And I still love that, and I still do that stuff. So this is another one of those silent stories. So we start with an establishing shot. We know it's Batman, obviously. We got Wayne Manor in the background. And Wayne Manor, I'll tell you what, I use this later on in Batman Zero, and when I designed the Batman Bible for DC Comics as Wayne Manor. And this actual manor was when I worked for that real estate company, or when I worked for that advertising agency, they had a big real estate client. So we had a lot of real estate ads and stuff we had to do. And so we had lots of reference for their houses and stuff. And I grabbed this is an actual house in New Jersey somewhere that I thought looked like it would be Wayne Manor. And I've used this ad nauseum in drawing Wayne Manor even after I became pro. So I thought that was kind of neat. It's a little lighter. I don't know. I'm supposed to use a different pencil, a harder pencil or something like that. I have Bruce smoking a pipe and wearing a smoking jacket. Just classic. Bill Finger, Bob Kane stuff. Got the penny and the dinosaur there roaring out of the bat cave. I even gave him the Adam West car, or a facsimile of. Got the obligatory dock scene in the fog. Come across a body with a smiling face, and it's the Joker, obviously. Looked like I was doing a little inking practice on this. Robin thinks he's got this figured out. Commissioner goes, no, you're wrong. Batman schools them both. We cut to the Gotham Museum of Natural History. And there's the Joker and his buddies. Still hadn't locked down the look of the Joker yet. I don't know why, but he's interested in incubating dodo eggs. But he is. And, see up here, you see the cape. And he looks up, and then, of course, the dynamic duo come busting through. Da, da, da. Then we got a cool little fight scene. Bap, bap, bap. Joker's not afraid to shoot his own men. He takes off running, tells Robin to stay put, clean up the mess. That's kind of a cool angle. The foot there. What does Joker do? Oh, that Joker's kind of scary looking. That's kind of neat. So he holds a gun to this couple, you know, and the guy hands over the keys. Hands over the keys to him. And he takes off, leaving Batman in the dust. But he's got a corner to turn. Batman runs, jumps. I think he's getting away. That's cool. Peers down. Blam, blam, blam. Batman bashes on the window that's been compromised by the bullet holes. He's out of control. He's heading towards a tree. Batman jumps off and ba-boom. Car blows up. That's kind of a cool shot there. Kind of Don Newton-y. Again, this is my taste in whimsy. So you can see the Joker's all burnt up. His hair is all burnt up and everything like that. And he's really pissed. He's got Batman where he wants him, no place to go. And we see up here like some eggs, robin's eggs or something like that, wobbling because of the car crashing into the tree. He's about to fire and the eggs fall down on him and distract him. And then Batman comes up, pow, and he hauls him off to justice. So just, you know, simple little story. This is why I tell students too, you know, is come up with a scenario like that. You know, I got to draw guns, people in clothes, cars, muscular figures, Batman and Robin, interiors, you know, and all the props that go along with that. So those are the kind of things, you know, I tell students to do if you want to show samples to somebody so that an editor can look and say, hey, you know, this guy he can draw all this stuff, you know, which is important because when it comes to doing comics, you got to be able to draw whatever's on that script, you know, which means everything. So hope you enjoyed that. Oh, this is cool. I get requests for this artwork all the time and didn't know where it was until now, people wanting to buy it. Because I guess there's a whole fan base for this stuff. But early on in my career, one of the first jobs I had was doing illustrations for TSR, the Dungeons and Dragons company. They had these things called modulars. Modulars? I forget. But anyway, they're part of the Dungeons and Dragons thing, and they're like these booklets with the illustrations of these worlds and monsters and all this kind of shit. And it would tell all the backstory, the power levels. I don't know. I never played Dungeons and Dragons, so I really didn't know. I just got the scripts for these things and said, well, here's this thing, and you got to illustrate this. So here's some of these really early illustrations. These are like 19. I'm going to say 1984, 84, 85. That one's like the Horda there. The one on, well, you know which one. But, you know, I was looking at inking technique of Maurice Sendak. You know, the guy who did Where the Wild Things Are, when I drew these things, because I thought that was really cool. So that's what I was trying to attempt there. A little, kind of a black and white illustrative look. Oh, this one's dated. It is. It's 1980. At least these ones. These kind of these are 1986. Some funky looking wolves there. This eyeball guy. This guy's like Ghidorah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 heads. Yeah. I'm actually, I'm really hard when I look hard on myself when I look at my old work, particularly some of the comic book work. But I'm actually quite proud of how these illustrations came out. Considering I was just a kid and really didn't have a horse in this race because I didn't play this game. It wasn't like uh, a great passion project for me, but it was fun. It was cool doing these monsters, and I think this one's my favorite. I really like these two. The techniques I used on them. I think those are all. I think that might just be rapidograph, like a really fine rapidograph. Is all I used. All right. I don't even know what this was for. I think I was applying for a job as like a character designer at Hasbro or something like that in 1986. And so I did. I don't even know what the hell he's supposed to be. So this is pen and ink and Martin dyes. I think the color work came out pretty nice. There's some nice nuances and stuff in there. Design wise, maybe not so much, Oh, here's a cool one. This was I started with this illustration of this character, and again, I think this was at the same time. It was like a character design for that job at Hasbro, and I really liked the way this guy looked. So I wrote a proposal about like a series, and it was called the Aquanauts. And I was talking to my brother, and he came in on it, and we worked on it together. We thought it would be a fun project for us to work on together. And I think we took it to Chicago Con in like well, this is dated 86. So it might have been 86 or 87 that we had to be later than that. It might have been 89. But anyway, it was called the Oh shit, man. You can't see any of it. It's all going away. This hold on. Let's see if we can do this. Virtual background. Let's see if we do this. Haha. There we go. There he is. He's like a piranha guy. And so he designed all these characters around this undersea type thing. And it was called the Aquanauts. It's fun when I come across this stuff because what it does, it reminds me of where my mind was, what I was thinking of, what type of jobs I was trying to achieve or get. This was this is just an acrylic painting test. You know, I was trying to teach myself, you know, how to work with acrylics. This is again from 1986. Came out pretty good, I think. Colors don't quite show up on the screen the way they are on the, and that's a little better when I block off some of that light. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, here's a. All right, so here's another project. I was always pitching stuff, always trying to come up with ideas. Because as I've said before, in a lot of streams, you know, I'm a writer that draws, not an artist that writes. And so I'm always was working on story ideas of things I wanted to do or draw and pitching the ideas to companies and stuff. And with not a lot of luck. But one of the ones I wanted to do was a Western. And it was like a blueberry style Western where it would be, you know, painted and stuff. So it was called The Quest. And you know, I was a big fan of John Ford films and particularly The Searchers. And it was sort of a homage to that. But I did this piece. Yeah, I have to show it up. But I was looking. Oh, let me get rid of this. Hold on a second. Oh, thank you, Citizen Ronan. So I like these horizontal panels as the horse rides and gets closer to us. As this guy rides into the shadow. You can see there's a couple other horses there. He dismounts and he comes in. I really like the color in this last panel here. Again, this is Martin Dies. Might be some watercolor in there too. And then big splash page, but I never got around to coloring it. As the guy walks in. So I was sort of approaching it like Mobius or Jean Girard and his blueberry stuff, but but a little bit more linear and leaving more room for color. So I'm not sure what year this was. I'm gonna guess this was around 1989 that I did this, 88 or 89. I'm pretty sure we had moved to. No, it could have been, yeah, could have been 88 because we moved to Buffalo in 87 from New Jersey, and I know I did this up here in Western New York. I didn't do this in New Jersey. So, yeah, I'm going to say 88. while we're on the Western theme, maybe it was 88 because this one's dated 88. It's my John Wayne drawing from Hondo. You know, I was kind of going for that gray Morrow type thing, you know, with the black line work, but then gray tones added with zipatone. So that came out pretty cool, I think. Boy, applying that zipatone was a pain in the butt back in the day. I don't know how Tom Palmer did it. This is from an issue of Hawk World, and what makes this interesting is I got to draw Wonder Woman, but then I also got to put my father-in-law in this, who was my biggest fan. He loved what I was doing, and so I wanted to honor him and put him in this. And so that's him in that first panel, and the dude holding the the M16 is me. That might be an AR-15 actually. That's him down here too. But he got a kick out of that. I don't think I told him until the book came out, and then I gave him a copy and showed him, and he was just thrilled. Really like this picture of Wonder Woman here. She's very, just feminine and cute without being, sex potty or anything. She just, I really like that picture of her. Alrighty, let's see what else we got here, people. There's a bunch of Hawk World stuff, but a lot of these pages aren't very they're sort of talking head pages. Nothing really great. Let's peek in on the chat here. Let's see if I can go all the way back up or not. Wait, what was that? Pale Rider says, "Damn, I was in grade school in '83. Looking good for your age, Graham." Remember that Sal hated Marvel. The characters never smiled. All right, let's see if we got any questions here. Yeah, okay, so we're back at the beginning there. That's cool. Dr. Mass just recently read Tales of Terror 1 through 9 from Eclipse recently. A lot of Chuck Dixon. Chuck wrote a lot of stuff for Eclipse back then. Like I said, Four Winds was supplying a lot of content for them. Guy's talking about the ABBA thing from that little alien slug story. Eric wants to know if the Conan piece ever got published. No. Those were just samples. I think I took them into Larry Hama at Marvel to show, but he probably hated them. He gave me a bad portfolio review. I showed him. Ellie Munoz loves Doc Savage. That's cool. Mark Simon says, "Damn, those are nice pieces for being so young." Thank you, Mark. 86, the year I was born. All right. It's a hell of an attempt, is what I'm going to tell my sales team tomorrow during our morning meeting. Yeah, Oh, and Dennis, when you do it, you got to do it like Joe does. You got to go like this. That is a hell of an attempt. There you go. Meeting adjourned. That Tarzan almost looks like animation. Maybe Tarzan was Italian. Tarzan or Tarzanio. I like that better. You should have seen it a week ago. Huh. One good thing about the Big Two sucking is I have gone back and discovered some of these old independents. Yeah, like I said, I think the '80s was like a second golden age of comics. So much happened uh, between the launching of different companies, the black and white explosion, uh, and new people coming in to the business. It really was changing, and there was a lot of opportunities for young writers and artists, which was really, really cool. And there was no gatekeeping. Eclipse was also the home of the man's man, Bo LeDuc. Yep. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what those pages were that I showed earlier. But they're from Bo LeDuc. HR. I'm a huge Joe Kubert fan. It would be nice to hear some stories someday of the greats. Well, go over to my YouTube page. In fact, every one of you who have not subscribed to my YouTube page, uh, please do so. Please hit that like button. Help the algorithms. There's no cost. It's free to sign up and subscribe. There's all kinds of videos up there. There's one about Joe Kubert. There's one about Ditko and Kirby. I uh, can't remember all the guys I've done. I've done so many. Gil Kane. Um, so HR, go check those out. You will find them very informative. Citizen Ronan liked that Desert Fury page. Yeah, that was cool. Paul says all this artwork is fantastic. Graham, better than a snotty art gallery. I'm adding books to my list now. You and Chuck always make me buy more. Carlin did like you. I like Mike. I ended up working with him on Power of the Atom. He was my editor on that over at DC. And Mike was a good editor. Whatever happened to Tom Morgan? Tom's very active. He has a very active Facebook page. He's posting incredible illustrations on there. I think what he does as a day job is I think he might work for a gaming company or design company or something like that. I forget. But yeah, he's not doing comics because nobody's doing comics unless you're doing them yourself, like the CG guys. Or very few are doing it for the big company as they begin to sink. JP Roca says, and that, friends, is why you don't file your own taxes. No, that, my friends, is why when you're self-employed, you have to take out your own taxes and make sure you do it so that you have it at the end. Stat Zero, evening, Graham. We having a bragging stream? I can do that too. Number one backer for giant sized two-fisted manly tails. I see what you did there. Very nice, Stat. Very nice. Prowler was a damn fun book. That is one I would love to see brought back via crowdfunding if possible. Well, I guess that would be up to um, Truman and Snyder. I believe they would own the character. Any thoughts on doing your own noir type story? Oh yeah, there's always a bit of noir in everything I do, um, and it'll even be more prevalent in the Ghosts of Matacumba Key because that's going to be uh, a ghost story and a mystery story, uh, and a bit of a romance too. All three rolled into one. So there'll be some uh, what I like to call tropical noir in that. So Giant Size Two-Fisted Man and Tails is an Eclipse reunion. I didn't think of it that way, but there's a lot of guys there. But there's a lot of new guys too that weren't Eclipse guys. That's giving me nostalgia flashbacks. Bob Harris says bury him. I wonder who Mr. Munoz is talking about. Because this was posted at 8:08, 30 minutes ago. So I'm not sure what we were talking about at that point. Keith Bertrand, hey Graham, what does a typical workday look like for you working at home? Do you structure your days like a 9 to 5 job? Always wondered. I always have because I have a wife and I had children. They're grown now, but I never liked working late at night. I was never a night owl. I like to work when the rest of the world is working, so I'll get up early, 6 o'clock in the morning, have breakfast, coffee, hit the gym, and then start my day working. Depending, when I was working for Marvel and DC, all those deadline dependent things would be, depend on what I got done that day. So I'd work till dinner time. And if I got what I needed to get done after dinner, it was just, family time. If I needed to do more, then after dinner, I'd go back and I'd work till like maybe 9 o'clock. But rarely, I didn't like to work too much past 9 o'clock, especially, oh, excuse me, after starting early. Um, but now, now that I'm publishing and crowdfunding and doing all this kind of stuff, my days are completely different. They do go late in the night because of streaming things. I still start at 6. I still get up at 6, and then I structure the day what the needs of the day are. Like if I've got prep work for getting a book together and out the door, or if it's actually drawing. It all depends on what I got to get done that day. Novik, love those back shots of bats with the cape flowing forward. Reminds me of him. I love Irv Novik. Bo's enjoying seeing all of this. Thank you, sir. What kind of nerd hasn't played D&D? No judgments here. Me. Cool. I knew Tim Truman did work for TSR. Yeah. Yeah, it was big. Big back in the early 80s. Beholder. Is that the name of one of those characters in the D&D stuff? The Beholder? Next Nolan book, Aquanauts. The first Hasbro tryout character you showed looks pretty 80s era awesome, actually. Oh, thank you. It's definitely 80s. Uh, oh, Dr. Mass feels the gray morrow in that. Well, thank you, Lil. Riley J. Draws says, I forgot the dog. He's referring to the Hondo piece. Uh, what makes for a good editor, Graham? That's a great question. What makes a great editor is one that picks good talent and then lets that talent do its job. Um, the insecure editor is the one that has to micromanage and be in control and all that. Really good editors, guys like Archie Goodwin, uh, uh, Denny O'Neil, um, Mike Gold, who I did Hawkworld for. You know, once he's got the team together, he lets the team do the stuff, do the heavy lifting. You know, because that's what they're supposed to do. Um, they are the gatekeeper of the characters to make sure that the characters are still on model and nothing crazy is being done with them, like swapping their gender or whatever. um, and they understand not only the visual aspects of storytelling, or not only the written aspects of storytelling, but the visual aspects too. So that if something's not working, a good editor can tell the writer or the artist what it is that's not working and why it's not working and what you can do to fix it. A lot of guys say, oh, you know, something, you know, this isn't right. Well, what do you want me to do? I don't know. Oh, that's not helpful. You can't even explain what you think is wrong about it, you know? Oh, we got a fight going on here. Dr. Mask is number 2 for giant size two-fisted manly tails. And Stad Zero is number 1. Manowar 665, Neighbor of the Beast. Thank you for the $6.65 super chat. Been a while. The old lady and I really dug Alien Alamo. Can't wait for Two Fisted. Here's a down payment on the ice in one of those fancy bourbons. Thank you, brother. Much appreciated. Any cool Archie Goodwin stories? He always seemed like a nice guy. Uh, yeah, I don't have a lot of Archie stories. I didn't interact with him too much, um, other than some bat conferences and stuff. And he is or was just a really nice guy. And you want to talk about a good editor? One of the great writers. When I did my writing show last week, I had Chuck Dixon on, and we were talking about Archie and how Probably one of the best writers to ever work in this business. You know, he could write anything and make it interesting. Uh, I remember one time I was at a Chicago con. This is back in the 80s. I was just getting started. Nobody knew who I was. And there was a party uh, in one of the hall rooms. And I had a band there, and they were playing, and people were up there dancing and stuff. And a lot of people were just hanging out and, in groups talking. And I didn't really know anybody. Um, and I saw Archie Goodwin standing up against the wall, just kind of watching the events. He was all by himself. So I went up to him and just started talking to him, and he couldn't have been nicer, just a real down to earth guy. He made me, who was feeling kind of off that situation with all these other people who I knew who they were, but they didn't know who I was. Um, Made me feel good, made me feel welcome. Opinion on Miller and DiDio starting their comic company. Never heard of it. It's the first time hearing about it. Okay. Where are we? All right. I think I covered everybody in the chat here, which is cool. Let me just take another look, make sure there was nothing that I missed. I didn't get to share with you guys. This is a print. The original I drew for Chuck Dixon and gave it to him as a present because we're both big Lone Ranger fans. Hey, the beam pad. Hey, Nolan. Hi, chat. Hello there. Both love the Lone Ranger, so I did this drawing and gave it to Chuck. But before I did so, I made photocopies of it, like on print paper. But yeah, that's kind of cool. What is that? I don't remember what this was for. I remember it was for Jim Shooter for something. I did a couple of these, and I don't remember what they were going to use them for, but it's Electra. It's got some mold up here. Don't store your stuff in a damp basement, people. You will rue the day. Oh, this might be the first. Oh yeah, here's the first page of the Prowler when he dresses for the first time. Again, this is twice up. And the big reveal. What's he say? And voila, the Prowler. Now, where to commence? This is interesting. This is it's a letter that Mike Price sent me concerning the Prowler. Graham, attached, find a camera-ready photo of Leo Craig. This object is ready to paste down on your Bristol as part of page 1 of the Prowler White Zombie full-lengther book. The 24-page script ships tomorrow to Tim Truman. You should get the package during late May. So that was dated May 9th, 1988. Boy, that was the day when you had to do everything through the mail. And you had to do paste ups and all that kind of stuff, mechanicals. Crazy. Now what you can do digitally. What's this? That's it. Yeah. Okay. Remember solicitations for a collection of Russ Heath's Lone Ranger strip like 15 years ago? Evidently never happened. Yeah, it did. There was a paperback of those. I have it somewhere. Of Russ Heath's Lone Ranger strips. Kerwin Johnson, what are the dimensions of Twice Up and what format is it used for, i.e. magazine size? Thanks. The format was used for the standard comic. It's just that they used to work Twice Up. Well, the comics back in the 1940s and 50s and 60s were larger. That's why when you buy Mylar, you have to say whether it's a golden age, silver age, because the dimensions were slightly different and they were always bigger. But everybody used to work Twice Up because you didn't photocopy this stuff. You sent it in, and they had a camera ready guy who would photograph the artwork. And the advantages of doing it Twice Up is that when you reduce it down, that detail comes together, and any mistakes get lost too. So that's why that was done that way. They don't do it anymore. They haven't since the 1960s. I want to say it was 68 when they switched it. And I think Murphy Anderson had something to do with it because he had that pre-press company in New Jersey that was handling a lot of that stuff. And I think he talked them into shortening the size because it made it easier for them to handle or something. I can't remember what the deal was there. Thanks for sharing your portfolio. By the way, you're welcome. All right, my friends, we've gone through the 2 magic portfolios and we've come up with some really interesting things. I hope you enjoyed seeing that stuff. I really enjoyed sharing it. It brought back a lot of memories for me, and fun stuff. Well, Neil Adams was a advocate for smaller originals too. Okay, cool. Citizen Ronan says, great stream, Graham. Thank you. Thank you. Would be nice with a comic template, information. What do you mean? Comic template. I mean, all you got to do is measure the printed book, and then you can do it any size proportional thereof if you want, as long as it shrinks down to fit that dimension. Fraga just had a couple of floods in his basement. Yeah, I know. He sent us some stuff, some video last night. That poor guy. He just moves into the house, and then he had water come in, and the plumber told him it was the hot water tank. They replaced it, and then the next day he wakes up and it's flooded. And I think he said it was sewage, so that ain't good. And he had a lot of books and comics and stuff that weren't up off the ground, that have been damaged, and that sucks. Great stream. Love seeing this stuff and hearing the history behind it. Well, thank you. Thank you. Like I said, I had a great time, guys. I hope you did too. That's the fun thing about doing this show is I've got the freedom to do educational things, do drawing demonstrations, talk history, do interviews, because all of it interconnects with storytelling, which is my main passion. So thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Again, hit that like button if you like the show. Hit that like button if you don't like the show. Not going to hurt you. And subscribe to the channel, please. That would be greatly appreciated. It helps monetize it for me. Oh, man. Hey, Zach Fernandez, thank you for that $4.99 super chat. I missed your portfolio. Will this be up later? Yes, it will. If you subscribe to the channel, Zach, all of my previous shows are all up there. And again, it doesn't cost anything to subscribe. All you do is hit the subscribe button, and you'll get notifications when new shows are coming on, and you'll get my messages when I'm about to do something. So I want to encourage everybody to go ahead and subscribe to it. It'd be much appreciated, and you'll benefit from it because you'll find out where and when things are happening. And like Zach, you can go back and check out the previous shows, or if you missed one like this, it'll be up there shortly. I don't know how long it takes once the show ends for it to format and get up there, but it shouldn't be that long. But I hope you enjoy it, Zach. So, gang, tomorrow night, the professionals will be, it's supposed to be on Andy's channel, but Andy, he's got something going on or something. So I believe Art will be hosting it tomorrow. So the bros will be on Art's channel tomorrow. And I think that's just about it. If you haven't taken a look at Giant Size Two-Fisted Manly Tales, please do so. Consider supporting it. We have a really killer new variant cover that went up just the other day by Dan Lawless, which you can see on the site. So go check that out too. Once you see it, you're gonna want to have it because it's so badass. So until tomorrow night, my friends, you have a great evening, and we'll see you then. Bye now.